April 5th, 2020, Sunday, 6:03 a.m. I usually have a vague idea what I'm going to talk about before I do this. It brews in my mind. And it is all extemporaneous. I was looking at the extemporaneous speech on Google, and most videos on YouTube, they're not really extemporaneous per se. They're not really ad hoc. They get to prepare for 30 minutes, they write down notes, they have used flashcards. So that's the state of our current formal education and academia. We're raising a bunch of softies and snowflakes where they're afraid to take risks in life. And it just boils my blood. And because here I am, grinding away, stuttering and stumbling and stammering, and here I'm getting no recognition for taking risk in life, given the fact public speaking, even though it's not public speaking in front of a huge crowd, but where you picture everyone naked. Apparently, well, they say public speaking is the number one fear, and then imagine your greatest fear, and then public speaking is the number one fear. Was it number one fear or number two? So, I wanted to talk about birds. That's what has been brewing in my mind for the whole night, 10 hours. Birds. I was watching a video clip of I typed in Lamar Geyer. I wanted to find out what it was. It was a vulture, rather, basically. And there is a clip from Chase, the game show, the trivia show, and this dude and the guy asks him the first question, and he raises the stakes up to high to like 40,000 or whatever. I still don't get the last part of the show where he comes face to face with the guy, whether it's Beast or some other guy, the chaser, or the chase. Is it called the chaser or the chase? So, and they ask him, what is a Lammergeier? Vulture, falcon, crow, or whatever. And the guy taunts him, you're not a master in Lammergeier, are you? And here's we have this nerdy British guy, and he just rattles off. Yeah, no, he doesn't say as a matter of fact. He says, I know Lammergeier is a vulture. It's found in southern Europe, is it northern Africa? Yeah. And he talks about Aeschylus, even though he doesn't mention it. The Greek poet, who got his bald head fucking cracked with the Lammergeier that carries the rock. And was it a rock? Yeah, they use a rock to break something, break food or something. So apparently he dropped the rock on the bald head of Aeschylus and he killed him. And everyone was laughing. Here we have, what are the odds this gawky nerdy guy like me knows that he apparently is an expert on Lammergeier. I mean, sort of. I mean, I'm sure he read a book on it. So that was, occasionally you find these gems on YouTube, which are shorter than like 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes or even a minute long. And these clips are gems. I miss the good old days of YouTube when all this raw footage of skateboarders, parkour or magic or miracles, and that even blogging, it was so real and authentic. Everyone can pick up a camera, phone, and record anything, and they're so minimal, and that cause minimalism constraint shows creativity. You're given a pen and paper, what can you do? A ream of paper and a pen, a quill, go and write your best novel. You don't need fucking your computer and like a fucking desk and half eat an apple in your drawer, or sleep in facing north, or the weird writing habits. I think it was it who used to keep half eaten apple in his drawer. I think there were some authors, and then there was the one who used to sleep in northwest direction. Beethoven used to douse cold water on his over him for inspiration. I think Da Vinci Code's author Dan Brown does gravity boots. We have all this insane ritual that people prep up. I don't like Stephen King. I think Even though if I haven't vociferously voiced it out, I think he's a fucking generic, bland, mundane. Anyways, I want to talk about birds. So, one of the defining influence has been to see every bird on earth. The moment I saw that book on Burns and Noble, I knew that it was too good to be true, and so obviously you cannot see all the birds in the world, but what it means is you see the dude saw all the species. If my brain doesn't fail me, I think it was Dan Koppel, Richard Koppel, something like that name, and father and son duo. And the father, it was written by his son, and he was talking about his father, divorced family, and he was compulsive marijuana smoker, and so that was edgy. And growing up that time, that appealed me a lot. Here we have this pothead, and he has the supernatural power just by sight of a silhouette in the sky can identify pretty much any bird. When you get to see these things in real life, it's amazing. It really is supernatural. It's almost like pulling a magic trick. In Old Dorado Park in Long Beach, I once met a guy, a bird watcher, and he was like, "Oh, what do we have here? Is that a?" And then he names out the bird. Is that whatever? There was an Egyptian grouse. Was it grouse or geese? Goose, Egyptian goose. And there was another bird in the probably it's in forest, like foresty area, and he just gets out his binocular, his oculars as I call them, and he just spots them, and then he gives me the lenses, and it's almost, I mean, and he can probably has a sense. Probably he also uses his other senses, the auditory, to pinpoint where the location is, and it's almost supernatural. It's almost plucking out of a bird out of nowhere, out of thin air. So I guess that's my Egyptian grouse connection or goose connection. What is a grouse? We have the divers, the loon birds. We have storm petrel. We have the rheas, the ostriches, stratiforms. We have secretary bird that apparently is snake. We have kia or ki, the deer bird that feeds on a deer. Apparently carnivorous birds. I used to have an encyclopedia, bird encyclopedia, like when I was young, and that's how I remember all these names. Cardinal, raven. These are common names, but then, like, what is the one starting with C? Not cormorant, of a raven family, I think. Look big, husky ones. Look big, looks like a bodybuilder, like a raven, but it starts with a C, I think. Not cormorant. Pelican. How many types of pelican are there? Flamingo tongue were considered a delicacy in ancient Rome. We have the swift, we have the wren, we have the birds of paradises, we have osprey. Was I thinking of osprey? No, that's a raptor. Then there are all these tiny birds are harder to identify. There's so many species, and it's just sometimes it's tiny variation. Nuthatchers, pipit, aracari, kestrel, whippoorwill, wida. I don't know what a wida looks like. Is it the one with long tail? Wida, WHYDAH. And I'm sure there are books on birds and mythology, like like eagle, Egyptian eagle. Is there an Egyptian eagle? Well, Egypt is a desert, so there has to be like all these raptors or vultures, carrions. I took a trek to beach. I live near Pacific Beach, and I took the bus one day, long time ago, and yeah, I don't want internet freaking out. Oh, you're traveling? You should stay home, you fuck. So, and that's when you go on a long excursion. All you have is your mind, your company, and that's to give you company, and all you can think about and you need something to think about. And I focused on the birds, and all these names that's hidden in my subconscious started bubbling up. Pipit, I mentioned Pipit, parrots, budgery. This budgies or budgery or budgie, parrot, cockatoo, swan. Swan is just a geese, right? There are the ducks, mallards, wood duck. I think it'll be easier. I want to write a book on duck watching because there are about 10,000, 8,000 species of birds, and you can possibly finish watching them all. But ducks is like a smaller subset. Even not nightingale. What was the hummingbirds? Hummingbirds. If Rufus, ruby-throated hummingbird, you can you can uh, you can probably find, I mean, watch, go on all the humming, and that there are some bird watchers who specialize in that. They're hummingbirds, or I wanted to like, I once collected images of crows, and there's so many species of crows. Corvus, that's the common crow, and it was a flash drive. I wanted to make an art, like a installation art, where basically sell the flash drive, and in the flash drive contains all the species of crows, the images. It's simple, but I don't know. These are the things that excites me. There was a installation art where it's a bowl, and anyone can leave anything, money. Installation art are cool. I mean, some people like fucking tear their head over it. It's so simple. That's not the point, you fucking moron. The point is originality. Come up with a simple concept. It's a conceptual art. Like I Weiwei and what's the other guy? He used to write the dates. I forget the dates. Used to post. Used to mail dates, and then I tried that with stamps. Mails random stamps to random people, and I have a beautiful collection of stamps. And you can also do bird watching on stamps. You can do bird watching on Facebook. Just you can keep diaries. And then there are those birds of paradise ones with like weird antennas and like discs, and this ocelot type of, was it ocelot? Not ocelot. What I'm talking. What's the word I'm looking for? With the eyes, like looks like the eyes of a peacock, and there's these discs on a ball, like at the end of strings, and some weird variety. Those birds are the difficult ones to see. Either in birds like the birds of paradise one, the ones in Amazon. I mean, what are the odds you're gonna go to Amazon and or the ones in Papua New Guinea? Ostriches, albatross, rheas, penguin is a bird. I think is no, is penguin a bird? Well, I mean, if you're doing bird watching, do you actually go and watch penguins? And if you do, where do you go? Like Antarctica? Is that the only place you find penguins? King penguin, loon, diver, petrel, pelagic birds, and passiforms, passerines, non-passerines, pipit, wren, swift, yellowtail. Yellowtail is a fish, right? Like we have the yellowtail sushi. My stomach is churning. Yellow hammer, I think, is a bird, because I wonder if they're the variant of woodpeckers. Woodpeckers, they do this thing and they feed on ants, probably. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, don't quote a random internet guy. I found that on the internet, on a blog, a vlog. Secretary bird is interesting how they feed on snakes. Because isn't that that's not secretary bird though? The one on Mexican flag where they have a snake in his mouth. I wonder what that bird is. Quetzalcoatl, right? Yeah, the feathery bird. There are shrikes, owls, cop's owl, eagle owl. There are avocet, piper, pipit, not piper, pipit, avocets, carlew, finches, is the stonefinch, cranes, grebe, the courting of mating ritual of grebe and crane. The encyclopedia that I used to have when I was a kid was the illustrated birds illustrated encyclopedia of birds. I think I don't. It wasn't Darling Kindersley, however you say it. The fact that I cannot pronounce many words shows the half-hearted interest I have in enunciating words because I'm more into the visual story, and I can spell probably and like think. And if I sit down and think, if I were to spell like Darling Kindersley, I think, and you don't use this word, so there is lack of myelination. Mallard duck, wood duck. There are the Brent goose, Canadian goose. I know I'm rattling out all these names, but when it comes to identifying them, I probably would be at loss. Hodzin is a bird, right? Hodzin. It's a weird bird, Hodzin. Are there any laughing birds? Kookaburra, right? Does kookaburra actually usually laugh? Sparrow, house sparrow, swan upping. There's this contest list. I think in Ireland or Europe, some parts in Europe where they do the swan upping. So I don't even know what that means. Swan upping is like what, you hunt swans? Like funny. I mean, what challenges can you possibly have to hunt swan? So we're in black swan um, crisis, economic crisis right now. This is a black swan. This whole stock market and everything. Lammergeier. Peacock is also a bird. Peafowl. I mean, they're the non-passerine birds. My mind. Sometimes when you drink coffee, it actually hinders creativity because you're not in alpha state anymore. So your mind can't really wander. You're all focused. I just drank a little bit of morning coffee. So tit, tit is one. Bush tit, boobies, booby shrike, eagles, osprey, raptors. Well, there is eagle owl, I think, snowy owl, and then there are the eagle, actual eagles, horn like not horny eagle, like horned eagle, toad eagle or something. I don't know. Raven, I mean, I'm just like not even an amateur, just a random average guy on the street who knows all these names of birds. Imagine the guys who are master at it. They can rattle out the scientific common names of all these birds who are the expert bird watchers, and wow, that's amazing. The rails. I remember how uncommon the rails were when I went to those. What was the park I went to? It's a good bird watching park in California, Southern California, Orange County. um, Reserve, based in not reserve, some reserve. My mind is drawing blank. It's near Seal Beach, basically. PCH, and that's where some guy helped me find a spot a rail. And even rails are, I guess, rare. Carlio, that's a nice name. What else? Mm, you just have to run down the list, alphabetical list, like alphabets, and it'll probably trigger. Are there any birds starting with X? No. Y, yellowhammer, I think. Z, zebrafinch. Is there even a zebrafinch? Zebrafish and a zebrafish, but I don't think there are any zebrafinches now. So, okay, that rules out X, Y, Z. W, Wida. H are Hudson. Q, quail. Quails, yeah. R, rails. T, tits. S, swift. B, mushted. P, pipit. Did I mention pipit? Yeah, I think I mentioned pipit. P, plover. Snowy plover. L, Himalayan birds. I forget what is, there's some small Himalayan birds. That's the common name. Himalaya. Even the common names are so beautiful. I don't even know the real common names. Like we have California, we have the gull, Laurus California, like Laurus Californius, I think, or Laurus Californicus, Laurus, I think, larks, gull. I forgot those doves, the dove family, Columbia, not Columbia, not Columbia, columbiforms, and there's also species of snakes, the similar Colubidae or something, Columbia. Yeah. It's only when you stop and pause and breathe for a second and realize how much you absorbed in your whole life, all this junk you fucking fed in your mind. You need to assimilate and integrate them. And it's like if you all you do is read, 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 you can't really integrate and assimilate all the knowledge. In order to assimilate and integrate all the knowledge, you have to talk about it and use them, just as I'm doing right now. But this is the only first time I'm doing it. I'm sure birds have been used for camouflage, studying of bird patterns like the feathers and how do birds usually camouflage? Because insects do, and underwater sea creatures do. Loon, yeah, I talked about loon. Sea, Arakari, I mentioned Arakari. Sea, with sea, what do we have? Sea, I mentioned Carlu. With R, with T, with B, R, L, H, M, Malabar, Pidge, I don't know, Malabar, something. Ren, I mentioned Ren. I think I'm running out of my stock, and this is where it gets interesting because this is where it whittles down and thins out. The curve thins out. Toucan, Trogon, Toucan. Those are cute. Trogons are so cute. It looks like as if it's like a baby, like it talks. I was gonna say hentai, and then I censored myself. Well, I did not censor myself. Why did I even? It's funny how the words are like stored in your mind. Alpha brain really helps. I think contains an insane amount of huperzine. A huperzine is for some reason is good for the language, the memory and language. Probably affects the Broca's brain or Wernicke's area in your mind. Cause we all know how the hippocampus grows for the London taxi drivers. I'm sure if I people like me who all we are in, who obsess about words and like the linguistic aspects, the not like words, the abstract symbols like words, like who reads books all the time. I think I'm sure our Broca's area and Wernicke's area are highly developed. I would like to think so. What about the ones that starts with N? N. I can't. I don't know. Ostrich. Yeah. Some of the ostrich just looks ugly. Remember the part in Lightman, the guy who predicts, like who can tell if you're lying or not. Lie to Me. That's the TV show. He studied with I think was the Maasai or some tribe in Africa, and apparently they use an ostrich egg to for lie detection. I don't know. I'm not sure how it goes. Like if you touch it, if you hold it, and it breaks, that shows you're lying. Something like that. Like temperature increases. Something like that. Don't quote me on that. What were the ones with B? Bush tail, booby shrike. Naya, Naya something with Naya. NY or NY. Nepal, I don't know. I haven't named any birds starting with N so far. Yeah, I gotta go to the John. So I'll end on that note. Some final words, Zeeshan. I don't know, some birds, interesting birds you can think of. Hotsin I mentioned. When you think of start thinking of the common